Hello, beautiful people. Psychic Debbie here, hoping you're having a great morning or day. I am with Madison. Say hi, Madison. Our
Hello.
beautiful Madison. You
Hi.
guys are my regular peeps, know who I'm talking about. Beautiful Madison. She lives up in Canada,
hmm
right? And what would you want to call yourself?
Oh, well, Madison. But I
But a
do
healer,
have,
psychic,
oh,
intuitive.
um, I think I think I'll go with healer.
Good.
I like the versatility of that. But
Yeah.
also a social worker in progress.
Fantastic. I love that. Or a soul coach or whatever. So,
hmm
and she's been helping me trying to find missing people up in Canada and things like that
hmm
too. So we have a lot of connection there.
hmm
So what we're going to talk about today is my near-death experience. And Madison is going to ask me questions. So she's
Yeah.
going to be doing more of the talking. Well, I'll be doing the talking too,
Yeah,
but she's
I
going
don't
to be
know
doing
about
the
that.
questions and to figure out this dynamic that
hmm
happened
Yeah.
a long time
Yeah.
ago.
Yes, exactly. Because I watch your videos all the time. And you'll say this in passing. Oh, I was downloaded this information during my near death, but that's a story for another time. And this is the time. Because I'm like, what
Yeah,
happened?
now you need to do
What?
a really massive story, but this will
Yeah.
be a lot of it.
There's always just little snippets of just little
Yeah,
teasers of I learned a lot and this happened. But
yeah,
I think it's time that we learn and we know what did happen.
yes. Okay,
Yeah.
so where would you like to start?
In the beginning.
In the beginning. In the
I just
beginning. No.
we were chatting a little bit off camera that there was this mini intervention. So I was originally going to ask if you could take us back, like sort of paint a picture of where you were, how old you were, and like when this happened. But I don't know if you want to start with the intervention part.
Well, let's go like I was living. 2002 was a massive year for me. Okay, I was living
Mm,
in Washington at the time. My stepdad passed, got laid off at Hewlett Packard. My husband got laid off at Hewlett Packard. Um, we, with my stepdad passing, we getting laid off, we got married. So we bought my mom's cabin up in Montana to help her out. Basically, bought out the cabin, paid all her bills. She was living with us on the property to help her out. And so we were in Montana, not cutting Montana down. Beautiful, beautiful space, but it was out in the middle of nowhere. Very, very, a lot of religious people there. And my
mhm.
husband, like I've said numerous of times, is an atheist, which doesn't really matter because I mean, his beliefs and my beliefs, I love him for who he is. It doesn't, I'm not sitting here going, you need to believe this, and he's not saying you need to believe that. So I was basically running away from my abilities. Okay.
Mhm.
So I was having female problems. And so we went in to get it checked out, and it turned out, excuse my, if you don't want to hear this, kind of plug your ears about it, but my uterus was 4 times the size that it was supposed to be.
Oh
And the
wow.
wall of my uterus was inches thick. They've never seen it through all the years. This doctor is like, I have never seen this. And we need to do surgery. We need to cut it out. Okay. And so, because of the size, it was like 4 sizes. It was like huge. It was like a grapefruit, big, huge grapefruit. They
Wow.
thought, oh, this has got cancer in it. Okay. And my stepdad, like I said, he passed, and he passed basically from cancer. And so this is 2 years after he passed. We're living in Montana. We're just making it making it work. And it was 2004.
Mm.
And so I was by myself in the cabin, and all of a sudden I could smell him because he was a mountain man. He used to tan leather and used to make knives and all that stuff. He was a mountain man. Okay. So I smelt this tan leather thing. Right. And I saw him come to me and go, um, you're okay. It's not cancer. Literally saw him. And I can tell you exactly where I was sitting. I could tell you exactly the temperature of the day. I was sitting by a window. I was in a window seat, bench. Nobody was in. There was, at that time, we had a phone because we didn't have the cell phone thing. And I remember looking, and because maybe I just got done talking to the doctor or something, and he said, it's not cancer, don't worry about it. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm relieved. So we go to the hospital to go through the surgery. Okay. And so they said it was only going to take, they were going to do microscopic. They were just going to go through my belly button, go in there. Well, it turned out it was even bigger than they thought it was. It was a bigger issue than they thought it was. So they say it was going to be an hour surgery. It turned out to be 4, 5, 6 hours. Okay. It took a massive amount of time. And so I get out of that surgery, and then I get into the thing. My doctor takes off because it's a Friday. She takes off for the weekend. She's like, oh, you're fine. She takes off for the weekend. I'm starting to have problems. I'm having a hard time breathing. I'm not feeling good. I was being out, and nobody's checking on me. Nobody was checking on me. Okay.
That's terrifying.
It was bad. It was like, we should have sued the hospital, but we didn't. So anyways, so no one's checking on me. And then this one doctor comes by and he goes, I know I'm not you're not my patient, but something told me I need to check on you. And he walks in and he's like, you do not look good. Cause I guess I was just gray, really gray. My lips were getting colored. He's like, okay, something's up going. And I'm like, yeah, my chest hurts, that kind of thing. So he gets blood work and he's like, oh, this doesn't look right. You're losing blood. So they gave me a blood transfusion. So they waited again. They took blood. Nope, you're losing blood. I had 6 blood transfusions. So finally, on that Sunday, he said, we need to do emergency. Something's going on here. Something's going on here. And in between that, that's another video where you need to do, because the nurses came in and said, here, take this. And I'm like, Spirit said to me, that is not for you. It would keep me awake at night. I mean, there's a lot of stories I could tell you about that. I say I was supposed to have this passing. Let's put it that way. Because 3 times they were trying to give me someone else's medication. One time they were trying to give me someone else's shot. Another time they turned off my equipment. So, I mean, this is another story, right? So I needed to go through this process, obviously. So so then they did emergency surgery. Okay. And that's where it started.
Oh my.
But there's a lot there.
Well, the thing that really shocked me was the 3 times almost died. Like, it was just sort of seemed like this reoccurring thing of like, regardless, you needed to really hit that, I don't want to say rock bottom, but for lack of a better term, rock bottom, so you could be woken up and like confronted with what you were running away from.
Yes. I didn't know it at the time that I was running away from something.
You didn't know?
No, I didn't know at the time, because I thought, no, I was thinking of everybody else. I was helping my mom. I was the one that was doing the funeral. I did the wedding. I did, I was working while my husband was laid off. And then it's like, we moved. And I mean, there was so much going on at that time from 2002 to 2004. My husband's sister passed away. So then we had to help his mom move to Idaho. I mean, there was so much going on in that year to 2 year point until I got my surgery. I mean, there was massive changes. Massive. Our location, helping other people, helping his mom, selling his house, fixing that up. I mean, there was so much going on, helping my mom. You know what I mean?
It does sound also a lot like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but survival mode. A lot of just like,
I just got to do it. We just got to do it.
Yeah.
It's not like I was doing my husband, of course, was helping.
Of course.
Like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was almost like all aspects of my life was being affected. Do you know what I mean? It was like my kids, my daughter and her dad, we were having issues with him and in Minnesota. And, I mean, it was just like, and then, stepdad passed, and then sister-in-law passed. And then we had to move his mom, who was in her 80s.
Were you
90s,
doing anything?
You know what I mean?
Were you doing anything spiritual at this point?
No, I mean, I knew I had my abilities, but, and I tried to kind of start doing readings around where I was living, but you know what I mean? It was a very religious place.
Right.
So it was like, and I would have people come up to me and go, it's good that you're doing it, because I'm not, I'm not going to be blah, 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 blah. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like,
Wow.
and high up people in the town were like, okay, it's good. But we're not going to say we believe in you because then the town would go against them. Do you see what I'm saying?
Mm.
Because I was a very religious, and I'm not against the religion. I mean, that's your choice, but yeah.
You were facing a lot of like stigma, a lot
Right.
of, yeah,
And I didn't want to cause the ripple effect. So I just didn't do, you know what I mean? I just
right.
didn't put it out there.
So, so take us to, so 3 times you almost die.
Yeah.
And then on Sunday, you're supposed to go in for the surgery, was it?
I went into emergency
You wanted
surgery on
to,
Sunday. Yeah.
and so, and what's happening? You
Okay.
go
So
under,
because I'm losing so much blood, and he's like, okay, we're going to lose. I lost almost half my body of blood. They just kept on putting, thank goodness I had the transfusions. I would have been gone.
yeah.
So, so the guy's like, and it's Sunday, so they got to call everybody in, because it's not the norm. The guy that came in and said something's wrong, something told me to come in here. Another intervention, I would say, spiritual intervention. He's the one that did the surgery. Thank goodness.
Mm,
Again, they were saying, oh, this is probably going to be just a simple surgery. This is going to be da 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 da. Again, if it was supposed to be 1 hour, it was 4 hours. Do you know what I mean? Because they just could
wow.
not stop the bleeding. The bleeding that was inside of me was like, like if you scrape your knee across the road or something and it's a wall.
Yep.
He said it was just a wall of blood. He goes, every time I lesion something, because they would burn it to stop it.
Yes.
He
Yep.
goes,
Cauterize.
another one would pop up. I'd stop
Yep.
that one. He goes, I was in there constantly. And there was some that were even when after the surgery and after the near death and all that, he said I was still bleeding, but he thought that they would heal up on their own. Do you know what I mean? But he was in there for hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was
Wow.
it was crazy. So when
And did you,
it was, go ahead.
well, I was just gonna say, no, you go for it. Go for it.
Okay, well, when they were going to put the thing, I used to sing a lot. I used to be really good at singing, but not anymore. But they put this thing in my throat, and my vocal cords and my singing hasn't been good ever since. But I remember him putting it in, and I grabbing the guy's hand, and I'm like, nope, because I think the body of me knew something was going to happen. Do you know what I mean? I think the body of me knew I was going to have this transformation. And the guy's
And the
like,
body of
yeah,
you
like,
was,
and I'm like, and they're like,
and
she
so
doesn't have enough. She's not down, under enough. And I get that. I'm one of those kind of people that if you give me one you're supposed to give me one tablet, you need to give me two. I'm that kind of person. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
So the body of you knew that this
I think the
transformation was going
body
to
of me knew,
happen.
or the spirit of me knew. Yeah.
And so what was it resisting? Was it just like
Yeah,
scared? Is that what that was?
because your whole life is going to change after you have. There's a difference between out of body and there's a difference between near death. Okay, out of body is the ones that people pop out of their body. A lot of people can be out of their body when they're sleeping or doing meditation or do a Kundalini awakening. You pop out of your body and you can see that that's out of body. Okay.
Yep.
And when you have a near death, you're into another dimensional space. Nothing looks familiar to you. Do you know what I'm saying? You're not like bloop. So you have a near out of body and then go into a near death? Yes. I mean, you can have both, or you can have one or the other. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Everybody's process could be different. And it's funny because it's like, I will know, and I'm not trying to be raggedocious here, but I mean, I love TikTok and hopefully it doesn't get cut off because, they're saying that they're going to shut it down here. But, I hear people go, I can tell if someone's had a near death or someone has, or just have only had an out of body or didn't even have either. They will copy other people's, like, I saw the light and I saw this and and I'll be like, no. Plus, a lot of times people's aura will have a different light to it. Do you know what I mean? I'll be like, I went to an event once and I walked up to a lady and I said, oh, you had a near death, didn't you? And she's like, how the frick do you know that? And I said, if you look at your aura, It's
So wait,
pretty
can I
bright.
ask a question, a side note? What does their aura then look like? What is it? How is it different?
To me, it's very, very white or very, very bright or very,
Oh,
very sparkly. Do you know what I mean? Some
wow.
people can have the blue, like if I see blue, this is my interpretation.
Right.
Okay. So like if I see a lot of blue communication, a lot of communication, there's a lot of blue, there's a lot of purple. But people that have near death, it's like it's almost white, silvery, or gold that's around
Mm.
it. It could be the color, but then it's like white and silver and gold.
It's almost kind of like Halo-esque is what I'm seeing when you explain it like that. I almost see like you know how like in I don't know, you see like a halo or edits or something has
Right,
that glow to it. That's just
right.
kind of
And
how
that's
I'm
why they're
picturing
saying
it
that
almost.
angels have wings. Is a lot of times it's their auric
Mm.
vibration that makes the wings. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right, right.
Coming
Yeah.
off of there. Yeah.
Okay, so this guy gives you the drink and you're grabbing his hand,
He's putting the thing down my throat. I'm like,
putting the thing
they're
down
like,
your
we need
throat,
to
and
give
you're
her
like,
more because
sedate
she's not
her.
out.
Okay.
I'm looking at him and he's
Okay.
like, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. Um,
Right.
and then I went
And
out.
then you went out. And then,
Yeah.
so how quickly, like, what do you remember just going out and then boom, confronted with
I
a
think
spiritual?
I think because the surgery was hours, I didn't because there is no time. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the things that was conveyed to me. There is no time. So, but if you wanted to put a time into it, I think it was probably an hour or so into the surgery. Do you know what I'm saying? Where they were like, okay, we're not, she's, because I was losing so much blood. You got to remember, half of my blood was gone. And I mean, they were
Yeah.
feeding me blood, but it was
You were
like,
also losing
I
just as
was
much blood
losing,
probably that
it
they
was
were
like
putting in.
filling up a bucket with a whole massive hole on it. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
was like, okay, we're just trying to balance this out. So I don't know because the hospital that I had the surgery done, not very good. So they would not say, "Oh yeah, you passed," because you know they didn't want me suing them. I should have, but I didn't.
Mm.
Um, so I feel, and I'm kind of listening to spirit right now, and they were saying it was like an hour and 20 minutes in. Okay,
Wow.
and I did not go through this white tunnel. I did not go through um like I said, where people are like, oh, this is how the near death is, and this is how it is on the other side. And I'm like, no. And like I said, everybody has different stories or different concepts or different perspectives or whatever. But I really get it when people, because I'm always talking about the is, right? I'm always talking about the is.
You have me
And
talking about the is now because you talk about it so
yeah.
much. I'm talking about it.
So people that follow me and they say the is, I'm like, oh, they follow me. I know because the space, and if people who doesn't know me, the is space is where there is no left, there's no right, there's no up, there's no down, there's no wrong or right, positive or negative. It's just is. And it's kind of like a tree. It's in the is space. It's growing.
Yeah.
It's like a dog or an
Well,
animal.
one of my favorite things, and I've gotten some heat from this before because I've tried to explain it, and I'd be like, but it just is like because nothing is good or bad. Like if you, how do
That's
I
a
explain this?
perception. That's a
It's a
judgment.
perception. It is a judgment because it's like it depends on how you look at it. Because sometimes I could be confronted with an object this close to me, and this is all I see. But if I can step back, it's like, oh, it's everything, and it's just I don't. Yeah, I've explained
Right.
it before with
And it's,
COVID, and that's gotten me into
no, I
some
get
big
it
trouble.
because we were just watching a show today that they're having this art here in California where the guy is taking things in different perspectives. Like you would look at the word, it says love, and then you looked at it a different
Mm,
way and it looks like a camera. And you looked at it another way, it's these things hanging. Do you know what I mean? This art hanging, and you looked at it and say it said jeans. You saw the word jeans, and then
mm,
you looked at it in a different perspective and it looked like a pair of jeans. And then you looked at it another way and it
yes.
said Levi's or
Yeah.
whatever because of all
Yes.
the different
Yes.
perspectives of you had on it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But
Absolutely. It's like,
that space, that art is in the is.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yep. I got it.
Did you get it?
I think I get it.
I
I
don't know
think
if
I get it.
anybody
I
else
think I
got it,
get it.
but yeah.
I get it because it's like well, another way that I like to explain it is how can you categorize anything almost as good or bad? That's my main thing, is I don't like, nothing's good, nothing's bad, nothing's right, nothing's wrong. It just depends. At least in this world.
Right.
This
in
is
this
where everything
dimensional space. Yes.
because it's like, and maybe I won't use COVID as an example, because that I just don't want to.
Yeah.
But the pen, and you've used this example before, like a pen. If I stab myself in the eye with it, it's pretty freaking bad. But if I'm writing notes, it's great. If I use it
I
as
could be writing a Dear John letter, or I could be writing a love note.
Exactly. It just is.
Right.
I
love the ocean, where someone else might be like, I don't love the ocean. So that's a positive or a negative. Someone might like your fireplace there and go, oh, isn't that beautiful? And other people might be like, I just had a house fire, I don't want to see it. So it's a lot of it is we are, what I was told, and we will talk about it. One of the things that the spiritual being that I'll talk about, or essence or vibration, was talking about, is that everybody has a different outlook, that there is no judgment, that we are trying to learn to be in the space of no judgment.
That's our mission here.
That's our mission here. And people go, no, you have to have judgment because we got to know if that person's bad or good. That is perception. Like we were just saying, is that person bad or is that person good? Do you know what I mean? Well, they got a gun towards me. That's bad. Yeah, but it's a perception that they're a bad person. But if we look at their past, we look at their life, they were in an abusive situation. You know what I mean? We look at the story. Is it that the person is bad, or is just the situation is bad?
Yeah. Oh, I'm with you. And
this is exactly the kind of stuff that I was showing in my near death. This kind of information. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not saying I'm braggadocious or that I know it all. I'm far from it. But I just keep on getting these downloads, like you were saying on my videos, or even my TikToks, or whatever I'm doing, or even when I'm doing readings for people, Spirit will go, oh, remember I told you about this. This is where this fits into that space. Do you know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So an hour and 20 minutes.
Okay. Hour and 20 minutes come in. And next thing you know, I'm in a place that is pitch black. So like no light at all. Okay. Black is black. Okay. Even the black that we have, if we, even if we drew out a black, there's still some light in there. So it's just pitch black. And then all of a sudden this gold sparkle, just sparkle, billions and trillions of sparkle came in.
Wow.
And I felt like it was a feminine vibration, but there is no gender there. But maybe because I didn't get mother love, or I never got that coddling or whatever, in my young years. And I feel like the vibration will come to you the way you need to see it. Just like I was saying, the vibration of if you're needing a vibration of an angel, say you believe in angels, it could come to you as an angel, or you believe in Jesus, it can come to you as a Jesus, or you believe in Buddha, it could come to you in Buddha. Do you know what I'm saying? So
this isn't like the universal way that you'll be greeted when you die. It's just how you were greeted.
This is how I was greeted. This is how I was. This was for me. And it's not being selfish. It's not, it's because we're all one. Do you know what I mean? I just put it on TikTok today. This one guy said, what if water was God? We have water within us, water in the ocean, water, everything has got water in it. Do you know what I mean? So we're all it. And so it's kind of like the same thing, is like it's water, but it was golden sparkles. And that's why by my computer, I put it away because it drained my battery, but I had a lava lamp that had just sparkle in it. It would remind me of this near death, whatever. And I felt like it was a feminine vibration. Okay. And it was like all of a sudden it started showing me how one word could change the world. And then it showed me how one person could change the world. And I was kind of like, I wasn't questioning it, because you're talking through your mind. You're not talking this way, and it's not talking to you this way. It's talking vibrationally. It's kind of like a knowing conversation. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like if you're thinking, oh, you're not saying out loud, oh, that person's beautiful. It's kind of like a thought. So it was communicating me in a thought process, a spiritual thought process.
That's a good way of explaining it. Yeah.
And so this entity or this vibration, I'll call it entity, this gold sparkle that was all around me, I felt like it was feminine entity, no word to it or whatever, was showing me how one word, one person can change the world. And I was not doing my contract. And I'm like, what are you freaking talking about? So my mom is from Holland. My family is from Holland. We moved, my mom, dad, brother, and sister were born in Holland. We moved to New Zealand. I was born in New Zealand, and then we came to America. Okay. So we have an aunt that's still in New Zealand. My grandmother at the time was still alive. She was living in Holland. So they showed me in a mind's picture, me saying something to my mom calling her, my grandmother, my Ovahudamuda, in Holland, and say it, see how that can change the world. And so then they showed it again, me saying something to my mom and my mom calling her sister in New Zealand, how one word, one process can change the world, one action. It's kind of like what people say is the ripple effect. You throw a stone and it has this ripple effect. Okay. And so it was showing me, and then it was showing me the is again, that we were here to learn about no judgment. And they were saying that if we had no judgment in the world, we wouldn't have any wars, we wouldn't have any conflicts, we would be in peace, because we would be in the is of the acceptance. They were showing me the is. They were showing it to me in a field, even though I love the ocean, but they showed it to me in the field of like every little flower is its own entity, but it's really, to get the whole picture, you have to see all the flowers kind of thing. Do you know what I'm saying? And so, and they were also showing me kind of like an aspen tree, like how one root can bring a bunch of trees. Do you know what I mean? So there was like a bunch of aspen trees, like on the back of this field where the tree, and they were saying that the tree has no judgment. It doesn't say, oh, it hurt to bloom that leaf 2 seconds ago, or, you know, to grow. It's not worrying about the future, and it's not worrying about the past. It's living in the present moment. It's living in the is. Okay. But because living in the is, it brings you knowledge. It brings you information, just like the squirrels know we're going to have a bad winter, or the bees know. I was just watching this guy talking about his bees, and he's like, my bees aren't, we're not going to get that snow because my bees are still the pollen isn't, they didn't collect a bunch of pollen. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay. So they were in no judgment of it. They were just like, okay, collect so much pollen or don't collect so much pollen. Do you know what I mean? Or the squirrel is going to have so many nuts or not so many nuts. And they weren't judging it. They were just like, okay, I need so many nuts this year. Do you know what I'm saying? So they were showing me in that process. They were showing me the world being in that space. And just kind of like downloading me information of going further and further and further and further, how everything has a vibration to it.
Did you understand all the information that they downloaded to you? Was there any?
No, I was just like, it was like I was collecting it. And I think that's what's happening to me is I've collected, I feel like they filled me up with all this information, like say I was a pitcher and they filled me up, and and now after it, I'm pouring it out one at a time, like a cup at a time. And it's like the information's within me, but I'm not ready to receive that information. And so that's why I will say, oh, Spirit just downloaded me this information. But it's already within me, or it's already within you. The information's within you. Sorry, I got a hair. Or it's Spirit. They do. So it's like that kind of process. Do you know what I'm saying? It was that kind of information. Where was I? I don't remember now. But so they were showing me the is space. They were saying there is no left, there is no right, there is no negative, there is no positive, da 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 da. They also said, you're not doing your contract. You're not doing your contract. So they said, they're saying you're not doing your contract. And I said, well, what's my contract? And they said, you're supposed to help the world see their truth. And I'm like, what the frick does that mean? Right? What the heck does that mean?
That would almost piss me off a little bit. I'd be like,
hello? Can you, And I was kind of like, what the frick does that mean? And they were like, you'll understand. Bloop, gone. Do you know what I mean?
Wow.
And so so when I came through, you know, after the surgery and when it was, like I said, it was longer than what it was supposed to. And I kept on processing this information. And every time I process it, I would remember more.
Mm.
Okay. At the time when I got out, I remember all the main thing that I remembered is you're not going on your spiritual truth, which is true because I moved to Montana. I'm out in the woods. The nearest town is an hour and a half away, Walmart, Kmart, married to an atheist. I'm in a very right wing, and I'm not against these people. You know what I mean? That I know because I'm not going to be in judgment because I know what judgment does because they were showed to me. But and they were like, you're hiding. You said in your contract before you came to this earth that you were going to be doing these readings and helping healing people and da 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 da. So when I said, what the frick does that mean? And they were gone, they basically, at the time, I didn't see them, but I was hearing them say, choose. You need to choose. Are you going to come back? But you need to do your spiritual truth. Or if you don't come back, then you need to pass. Okay. But it makes me cry. But they showed me, okay, you got to stop.
That's okay. Take your time. That's okay. That's okay.
So it would choose, I had to choose for family or go into this beautiful, beautiful space. And there's been times where I remember one time riding with a friend and saying, you know, I wouldn't mind passing right now. And she's like, what? No, you don't. And I said, yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's because you got to figure it's a space of, it's where people would say, oh, it's love. It's not love. It's peace. It's serenity. It's being in that is space where there is, it's almost like you have no emotion. Do you know what I mean? It's almost like it's kind of like when you're floating on water and you're not hearing anything. So it's like if you were floating on in the middle of the ocean and you're looking up and say it was at night and you're seeing the stars, it's that peace.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, yes. And the thing that comes up for me is that if somebody, you know, I can only imagine, like, spends most of their life in this world being judged or being ridiculed or struggled or, you know, whatever it is, and then to be in a space where there is no judgment, to be utterly and entirely accepted and embraced, that is utter peace. That's peace at like the highest possible level. It's like that.
A good way to explain it is, I don't know if you've ever been in a hot tub where the the bubbles are going and you're kind of like, and the bubbles turn off and it goes like that. Do you know what I mean? It's almost like getting back into the body is that, you know what I mean? Like you're heavy again. Do you see what I'm saying? It was a lightness. Like I said, it's like you're floating and you weren't struggling to float. You don't have to do anything to float. It's kind of like if you were going through the stars and you're not thinking of anything. It's kind of like, it's kind of like I was watching, and it's funny because I was watching it last night, and for whatever reason on YouTube, I was watching Out on a Limb with Shirley MacLaine, and she explains where she was floating out of her body. But the minute that she questioned it, again, judgment, the minute she questioned, oh, I wonder how far I can float, boom, she went back down to her body. So it's in a space of, like I said, no judgment, no question, no thought, no reality. It's just is. You're just is. Do you know what I mean?
That sounds so,
it's so hard
magical.
to explain.
It's just so magical.
Yeah.
It's so magical.
It's just magical because you got to figure if you've been in fight and flight, which I was in a lot in my younger life, fight and flight, which also helped me be very intuitive. But if you've been in fight and flight all your life and then all of a sudden everything's taken away where you're like, you're sitting like this and you're like, what the frick am I doing? Do you know what I mean? I can just be. That's how it feels. It's kind of like all your guards, all your defensive, all your fears, worries, and doubts are gone. Do you know what I mean? And while I was processing this and going through this and what they were downloading into me. What I realized when I got out of the surgery, and again, many things happened after the surgery, you wouldn't believe. That's what they were processing to me, was this isness. Do you know what I'm saying? This, that they were showing me that there is no left or right, up and down, wrong or right. So they kind of showed it to me instantaneously. I wasn't there for 20 minutes feeling this vibration, or this is space. But again, there is no time. So it was like I was in infinity, and then I was taken out of infinity and boom, back into the earth plane, because I chose. Because when they asked me, do you want to stay or do you want to go? But if you stay, you have to do this. You have to do this. And if people follow, then they're supposed to be with you. If they don't follow, then they're not supposed to be with you. And so, as rude as this sounds, and you know, Madison, I've let go of a lot of friendships lately. I've just been like 40-year-old friendships, 9-year-old friendships. I'm like, I'm done, because I'm not supposed to go towards them anymore. They're supposed to go to, you know what I mean? It needs to be more balanced. Do you know what I'm saying? Stop compromising, stop. I don't need, I shouldn't have to create boundaries. Do you know what I mean? It's not a relationship if you have to create boundaries, or if you have to give more to get. Do you know what I'm saying? And they showed it to me as this vibrational feminine energy. The sparkles would come to me at night and download me this information after I had my near death, after I had my surgery, after I got home. I'd be in bed, and all of a sudden I'd see the sparkles again, and she'd be like, okay, here's some more downloading we're going to do for you. And it would always be in bed. It would always be in bed. Sometimes I would be like taking a shower or going for a walk or when I was kind of like in that empty space. And then they're like, oh, we can talk to her. Then they'd come in. Do you know what I'm saying? But I don't know if you've had it before. Like, I get like, when I do my world predictions, and they're pretty damn straight on.
They're
right?
on point. They're very on point. Yeah.
I mean, even Debbie, me, is like, wow. So it's almost like I have two different Debbies,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The psychic Debbie and the Debbie. And the Debbie's like, damn, girl. And the psychic Debbie's like, yeah, it's no big deal.
That was
you know
me.
What I mean? It's like, yeah. You know,
I'm
and
not
and the Debbie's like, oh my God, are you
Mhm.
serious? But it's like when I get up,
Like the rest of us that are like, what the?
right.
Just like the rest of us. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, you know, just like this last predictions that I had, tornadoes, Louisiana, right? Did I not say? I kept on, people were like making fun of it. Oh, what, we're gonna have a cyclone? We're gonna have tornadoes? And what happened? Right? I'm like, well, that's what spirit showed me. So, and I'm not saying I'm the right do-all or whatever. I might perceive the information wrong. Do you know what I mean? I'd be like, oh, okay, they meant this, or
because you're translating the language. They're giving you information, and you're like, okay, well, this is what I see, and I'm trying to interpret it and then explain it to you.
Right.
So it's like, that's just natural. That's
right. So like if I'm trying to find a missing person, they might say 2, and I say, oh, they're 2 feet away, or they're, or, 2 miles away, when it's like, oh no, the house has a 2 on it. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you need to figure out kind of the information, and not make it too man-made, and not put too much of my perception into it.
Right. Because you have your own
right
experiences and lens of which how you look at situations.
Right.
That's why all our perceptions are different.
And it's hard to read your friends. That's why I have a special deck of tarot cards that I do for my daughter or my son or really close friends, because then my personality doesn't get into it. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And those cards, to the point my friend Hannah's like, no, because
no more cards,
because they're too dead. He's like, nope, nope, don't need to know.
That's so funny. That is
and then
so funny.
And my daughter years ago, it would be like, no, I don't believe it. Now it's like, could you bring those cards? Like, okay. So it's funny how that goes, but yeah. So I forgot what I was talking about.
I forget where we were at too, but it sounds like, so after this near-death experience where they downloaded a bunch of information, you continued to get downloaded information in your sleep, or in that empty kind of space where I guess you're not like too busy, go. Because if you're in the middle of your day, then it's hard to feel
You'd be
connected.
surprised. I get a lot of information even when I'm doing readings. I won't even say
I'm not surprised. Why would I?
even when I'm doing a reading, I'll be like, oh, this is the first time I've heard of this. Do you know what I mean? And so it's kind of like it's for me or it's for them. And it's funny because spirit, since I have had my near death and I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, right? And I know that there's more to it. I know there's more to it. I just don't know what it is. I don't know what the substance is. So I'm just like everybody else. What's my purpose? What am I supposed to be doing? Da, 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 da. It's like they will do things they'll show me something. They'll make me watch a movie, or kind of like they made me watch Out on a Limb last night, and here we're talking about it. Okay. So or they'll have me watch a show or listen to something or some kind of information, and I'll be like, oh, that's good information. And no, lo and behold, a day, 2 days, 3 days later, it wasn't for me. It was a person that I'm doing a reading for. I'm like, oh, okay, now I know why they made me watch that. Cause I'd be like, I don't really care for that. I had one time, and I'm not this all medium, because mediumship, you can, if a medium says, oh, I can connect to someone right away, that doesn't work either. Right. Because it's not a phone call. Don't we wish you could just dial and just go, okay, I want to talk
to the other
Joe.
side.
I want to talk to Fred or Sue or, Emily.
Yeah.
It
Collect
doesn't work
call
that way. You know what I mean? And it's just like finding missing people. People will be like, can you find, nope, because I'm not connecting. But then if there's someone else and I'm like connecting, then I'll be able to find that person. So there's so many elements to it. Do you know what I'm saying? They showed me the information. They showed me that nothing is linear or in horizon. They were showing me like the infinity sign, kind of going like this.
Yes, you've
but it's
mentioned that
going this
before.
way and this way and this way and that way and that way and that way and that way. And they also showed me that in this 3D dimensional space, we talk about light, but they're like, no, I'm not saying that light isn't important, but sound, water, frequency, vibration. I'm always talking about the sound, the water, the vibration, the frequency. You know what I mean? So they were showing it to me, and it's funny that you got a fireplace, is it? That they showed it to me as the log is energy. Do you know what I mean? The fire is the frequency, and the smoke is the vibration. So is it all one? Yes. But is it separate? Yes. Okay. And so in this 3D dimensional space, are you looking at the construct? Are you looking at your life from the log, from the fire, or from the vibration? And it's kind of like water, which is kind of funny that I put that video up today, or that video, someone else talking about if water is God. So water can be solid as an ice. It can be vapory, the sky. It can go into the ocean. It has this, a constant, right? And so that's what they were saying, that there is no time because it's a constant. Okay. It's just a constant. It's infinity. It just keeps on going into each other. It's kind of like they showed it to me, like, like where you see a picture and then you look into someone's phone and then you see the picture of the same picture, but then you look into that phone and then you look into that phone, or like a mirror and 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 a mirror. And they were kind of showing it to me in that way.
And it's just infinity. It just goes on and on and on. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But they were saying, we think that there's time because we're looking at it in different perspectives. So maybe one time we're looking at it this way, so like say, I forgot to bring my crystals, but say, I don't have something with me. I'll do this little snowman. And so, so you're looking at him this way. He looks different. He's looking skewed and he's got a little thing, I feel like the snowman looks like my husband. That's why I got it for him. And so, but then if you look at this way, right, different perspective. If you look at it this way, different perspective. You look at it this way, different perspective. Look at it this way, at it this way. I mean, there's so many different. So they're saying that our time is looking at it in a different perspective. And it's also that we created time so that we don't say, meet me at the barn at when the sun's at this, thing with the dog, barking dog. Da, 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 da. So we just say, meet me at 2:00, makes it easier. You know what I mean? We just made it, made time to make our life easier. But it's non-existent. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah.
The thing that I'm really interested in is this, and I've heard actually, I can't remember this person's name, but it is about soul contracts. Okay. And I'm really interested in that because also I'll talk briefly about what I heard this. I think she's a psychologist as well, but she had a son who died from a drug poisoning. Anyways, drug poisoning, he died. She was in agony, and she's talking about through her grieving process, she learned a lot, and she was able to connect a lot through or to her son, and learned about soul contracts, and that was his soul contract, and it was his destiny to die and to pass on. And
I've talked about that many a times.
Yes,
I am not trying to, people are going to go, why are you using this? But this is what Spirit showed me, exactly the same thing. And it's funny because I just did a soul contract. No, I didn't put it up yet on my TikTok, where on the winter solstice, I want you to rip up your contract. But
I did that.
Huh?
I did that. I watched your video.
Yep.
I watched your video. You mentioned contracts.
Yep. Rip up your contract. So people are like, you can rip up your contract. Yes. Okay. So how am I going to say? There's too much. See, they're downloading me information right now, and I'm going to forget it. The way they download me information, it goes right through and it goes right out. And it's like, and people are like, well, can't you just it's not a memory thing, people. It's not a memory thing. Just like when I'm doing readings, I could say something to my kid and they'll be like, do you remember you said? And I'm like, I have no freaking idea. I could give you a reading yesterday or even an hour ago, and I'll go,
you know how many readings you and I had before you were like, oh, Madison.
Yeah.
You're like, have I done a reading for you before? I was like, yeah, like 5.
I know. And it's like, don't take it personally, because it's like,
no, I didn't. And I loved it. I thought it was so funny and perfect, because it was like, great. Like,
because I'm not doing it from memory. I'm not doing it like my perception again. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's great. I think it's great.
So there's the thing that you have the soul contract. It's kind of like the story of my son when he was about 4 years old, and he looked at me and he said, I am so glad I picked you as my mother. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He described it to me, this 4-year-old kid. I mean, he had a lot of intuitive things happen to him, because remember, I had people that don't know me. He was a twin, and I lost the twin, and he would always see his twin. It obviously was a brother, because he keeps on saying, oh, there's Kenny. That's my son's name. So it looked like Kenny, looked like himself. So he'd call him Kenny. Oh, there's Kenny. Which is kind of bizarre, because we named him after an uncle that passed away, and his name was Kenny. So it's like, is it the uncle? Is it his twin? Is it his spirit? Da, 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 da. So anyways, he said to me, I'm so glad I picked you as my mother. And I said, what do you mean? And he goes, yeah, I was showing when I was up there 3 circles. And he said, it made me go into a circle and showed me what my life would represent. They popped me out and then put me in another circle with a different mom and showed me what kind of life that would be. And then they showed me with you, and they showed me that life. He goes, so I picked you. And he goes, I am so glad I picked you. And I'm like, well, I am glad you picked me too. Do you know what I mean? Here's this 4-year-old, and it's like, there, walk away. It's like, hello. You're like, what? So contracts, there's that kind of contract. The contract of, like I say to people, say your contract is that you're supposed to go and move to New Zealand. Okay. But people are going, no, there's choice. Exactly. You get to choose how to get there. You can swim there. You can surf there. You can fly there. You can take a boat there. You can snorkel there, do the backstroke to get there. Do you know what I mean? But you're supposed to be there. Does that make sense? Kind of like what they were showing me when I passed. You're not going on your contract. You're not helping people find their spiritual truth. We don't care that you're alive and you're taking care of your family, but you put it in your contract. What's the matter?
Oh, sorry. One quick second. Did you hear any of that?
No.
Oh, I'm so sorry. An old podcast
no, I heard
actually just started playing.
Oh, I didn't hear it though.
Oh, thank God.
What's the old podcast?
Oh, it was mine.
I know, but what's it about?
I think it was like sex on the first or something.
Do we need to cut this out?
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know if anyone wants to hear that. Not that that's a bad thing, but it was just like so weird. Anyway, sorry about that. So sorry about that.
Spirit works in mysterious ways.
Yeah, I guess
so. Yeah, so there's that kind of contract. There's also, like I said, the contract of like, ripping up your contract of like, I'm done with this. I'm done with this lesson of, I don't want to date narcissistic men anymore, or I don't want to be poor anymore, or I don't, da, da, da. And you can write up the contract. And like I said, I had it on my video last Tuesday. What was my video last Tuesday? New moon in Capricorn. New moon in Capricorn. There's that. And then TikTok, I'll be putting it up there too, for the winter solstice. But it's like, you can say, no, I'm done with that lesson. I don't want to, because you can go through processes. If you notice that your life, it's like all this, like what before happened, my near death, talk Debbie, take a breath. A bunch of things happened, right? People are dying, moving, da 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 da, lost the job, got married, blah, blah, blah. I mean, just all, I mean, boom, 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 right? So that was a contract to get, maybe I wasn't in the right space. Maybe I was supposed to be in another contract space. Like I was supposed to be in Montana, or my husband was supposed to be in Montana, or whatever. So the universe said, okay, we touched you, we hit you, we slapped you, we combined you. So now we're going to really combine everything because you're not in your right path. So maybe I went through all that dialogue, or my husband and my family or whatever went through all that dialogue trying to get us into the space. Well, I was being stubborn. So let's make it that she has this near death. Do you know what I'm saying? So I feel that it was in my contract, because I was not on my contract, going on my right path or my purpose or my truth. So then it reminded me, you said before you came in here, you chose your parents, you chose all these situations, but what you do with it and the information you do with it is that you need to be of service of it. So here's an explanation. This is what they downloaded to me. So like I was brought up in an abusive home, and probably my dad was in an abusive home, and then da 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 da. Do you know what I'm saying? I stopped the abuse. My kids, I didn't beat them up, right? So that was part of my contract. If I did not fulfill that contract, I would pass it on to my daughter or my son with their kids. And it just keeps on going until someone stops the contract. Do you see what I'm saying? So you can say, okay, alcoholism, I'm just using this as an example. I'm not against alcoholic people because we're dealing with it in our family already, dynamics. So it's like, okay, I'm not learning to quit to alcoholism. I'm not, that's why people say it's in your DNA. Well, it's not really in your DNA. It's in your family DNA, your spiritual contract DNA of what are you going to learn from this? So, like here, you always hear the story of, why don't you drink? Well, because my dad was an alcoholic. Why are you an alcoholic? Because my dad was an alcoholic. So you're chosen to be here because your purpose is which dynamic, what direction that you can bring to you so that you can be service of it. Does that make sense? I'm always saying that. I said, stop giving to get. I'm always saying, get to be of service, receive to be of service. That is our whole reason to be here. And you get to choose how you want to be of service. Singing, dancing, playing basketball, snoring. People study sleeping. People study the pen. Some people study a bird. Some people study whatever.
And we're all supposed to be of service in some way.
We're all of service. We're all of service. So whatever gives you joy. And I was just talking to my daughter about this, about my grandkids. If you notice people that are very adamant, like I was talking about Jay-Z, right? He's the rapper. And I saw a show, I think it was on Oprah or whatever, where he used to write poetry. Well, poetry, spirit is funny because spirit shows me poetry and music are the same thing.
They are the same thing.
The same vibration. And so he used to write poetry where all the kids, his friends are all like, it's like, no, I need to write these. I need to write these, which turned out into songs, which turned out into rapping, right? So he received the information of how to write the songs, and his service is to do the rapping, and people that connect with it or resonate with it or in the same vibration of it or needs to hear it will hear it. Just like that's why there's choices of music. Do you know what I mean? Where there's people that like country or rock and roll or jazz or symphony or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Because you're resonating with that vibration. I just go on and on and on. See, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's this kind of information that they download to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know,
And yeah, so I think I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask anyways. So is that why, because you had the option to either pass or to fulfill your soul contract. And is that why maybe like that must be a reason why some people just die either suddenly, or that has to be a reason for
right.
why people die. But there are also the other soul contracts where some people, I don't know how to say this, but like the woman I was talking about earlier who
Right.
her son passed and that was his soul contract. There are people who sign that soul contract or maybe like soul partners.
Right.
And
The
that's
soul
part
partners. Oh yeah, soul partners.
soul partners, not soulmates, soul
Not
partners,
soulmates, soul
or
partners.
twin flames or something like
Right.
that, where it's like that was part of their life's.
Right. So unfortunately I use John Walsh. Do you know who John
Yes.
Walsh is? Right.
Yes,
And Adam Walsh.
that's exactly who I'm referring to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've talked about this before. That spirit showed me, again, this was another download. They use that as an example. Okay. So that's why I'm using it as an example. And I'm not, you know, I don't wish anybody's son getting murdered. But because of Adam Walsh being murdered, John Walsh created America's Most Wanted. See, he used it as a service. Do you get what I'm saying?
Oh,
So it's kind of
100%.
like lately I've been seeing a lot of Sandy Hook commercials. Do you know what I'm saying? And do I wish any of those children got harmed? No. But the parents or the people that created that Sandy Hook thing where, you know, they're trying to go against guns and give information to people and helping the families and da. See, they got this. And so they created some kind of service with it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they're making change. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, it could be, you know, that all of a sudden I was eating sunflower seeds and I accidentally threw a bunch out and all of a sudden I got sunflowers and it's like, oh, I like those. Oh, I want to plant sunflowers. And then it feeds other people or it feeds the animal. See, that's being of service. It can be from the smallest thing to the biggest thing. And that's your choice. How small or how big do you want it to be? But it has to be consistent. Consistency is my word lately. Spirit is like consistent.
Why do I feel like you're talking directly to me when you say that?
Have to be consistent. It's kind of like I mean, we can use this as TikTok. If you just put one video up and people are like, yeah, some people just put one video up and got 1 million followers. I'm like, okay. And what about the video after? They will die away if you just put that one video up. If you're not constantly putting that consistently, like me, every Tuesday, I do a live video. And even if I'm not live, I put a video up. I'm consistent. Yeah. So people know that they can trust that every Tuesday there's a video. Do you know what I'm saying? So there's that consistency. That's my service, is to help people find their spiritual truth.
What do you think would have happened to John Walsh if he didn't fulfill that contract, if he didn't create America's Most Wanted?
He would have this gnawing feeling of like, why are you not doing this? You will have if you're not in your soul contract, you'll have a feeling of like, I need to do something, but I don't know what it is. You're shaking me. It's that essence of, I know I need to do this. I don't know why I need to do this. And a lot of times it's that leap of faith. Do you know what I mean? Where people are like, I'm too scared. And then it's like, okay, well then maybe it's not part of your contract. Because if you, just like how I moved to California, right? It's like my poor husband, I'm moving to California. It's like, what, wait a minute. Spirit told me I need to go to California. And thank goodness I did, because of all this, whatever controversy of the politics and that was going on. I wouldn't have been able to live it in that town. Do you know what I'm saying? That vibration, and there's beautiful people that live in that town. I'm not saying it's the town itself, but it's just the conflict, the judgment. There's a lot of judgment. You need to believe this, or you need to believe that. And while I was growing in this process of trying to help people find their spiritual truth, they were like, we don't want you sitting there having to fight for your right for your acknowledgement of your purpose or your
Yeah.
contract. So they made me feel, no, you need to move to California. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
like now I know that there's another movement for me. Okay. I don't know where I need to move, but I know that there's another movement.
Oh, you're looking for a new place to live.
So, and I keep on saying to the spiritual realm, because I want my own home,
Mm-hmm.
but I want it by the ocean. I need it by water. Do you know what I'm saying? I need water. I need it. I need it.
Australia.
I'm a Scorpio with, you know, Leo, Moon, Pisces rising. Oh my God.
You know, I
you know,
have
how
no
much more?
water in my chart. No water.
Really? So then why
No
are doing
water.
it along?
I'm all earth and all air.
Because you need water. See, you need the water.
All earth. There you go. We balance.
We balance. But
So
air
nice.
is part of water. Do you know what I mean?
Oh,
Because
okay.
like
Yes.
when the
I hear
ice
you.
freeze, you know.
Yeah, it is part of it. It is part of it. But
Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, and my husband is air, my son is air, my daughter is
Got a lot of
fire and
air.
water. Yeah.
A lot of air.
So I get it. Same thing.
What was it? So I mean, I want to go back to that gnawing feeling that you just mentioned, because I
Okay.
think, and I guarantee that a lot of people listening feel that way, know that feeling. There's always something. A lot of us aren't living our spiritual truth. Would you say that, or would you?
Authentic truth. Yeah.
Yeah.
We live
Yeah.
for others. We live for society. We live for, you know, what the outside realm you think needs to be done. Do you know what I mean?
That's sad.
It
That
is
is
sad.
really sad.
It is sad. That you can be living your truth, rich, poor, middle class, doesn't matter. Black, white, Latino, Asian, doesn't matter. We're the ones that put the boundaries on there. Do you know what I'm saying? There is no boundaries. I'm probably not doing my whole full spiritual truth either. I'm not in my true space yet. And I know that, and I'm having that gnawing feeling too. It's like, I don't know what it is, but I know that it still needs to represent itself. And I keep on hearing from spirit, like Louise Hay. She was in her 50s or 60s when she started her book company, right?
Yeah.
Here she lived until her 90s. She looked 20 years younger than her age, you know, and she was just this mind thought of da-da-da-da. I mean, you could do it with Kentucky Fried Chicken. Do you know what I mean? He was in his 60s. Do you know what I'm saying? Grandma Moses, she didn't paint until she was in her 80s. So sometimes your spiritual truth can come when you're really young, or it can come when you're later, or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, I do.
And it doesn't mean it has to be for everyone to be able to see it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like Jim Carrey is in a very spiritual space, and where a lot of people are like, oh, he's nuts. And he's, you know, got into this space of where no understanding. Where he's talking from makes me think that he had a near-death experience.
Oh, wow.
Because he's seen a lot of things that he says. I'm like, yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean?
And he talks like he just doesn't give a rat's.
He doesn't give,
he does not care at all how he comes off or how he sounds to other people. He's just speaking what is true for him.
I would love
to meet him.
Yeah.
Chat,
and it wouldn't be because of acting. My son would be for the acting. Me, it would be for, let's have this spiritual talk. Do you know what I mean? Yes. And it's not yours right or I'm right or you're wrong or I'm wrong. It's just like, let me see your perspective, because that's what it is. It's his perspective and my perspective. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm saying, where people, when they say they had a near death, it's like, did you have an out of body or did you have a near death? A lot of times I feel like if you had a near death, again, and I could be wrong, I just feel like there's more information and it's more for the world than it is for you. I think out of body, it makes you look at you. Do you know what I mean? Maybe you're in the forest, and I do that a lot of times in my readings. I'll say, you're in the forest too much. You're just seeing the pen. You're not seeing the forest. Do you know what I'm saying? So
you've said that to me before.
When they're dreaming or do metaphysics or, you know, ayahuasca or Kundalini or whatever, a lot of times you're out and you're seeing. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, okay, there's your path. That's the way you need to go. And that's where you can be of service. Does that make sense? And then it's like, once you're connected to your service, it's funny how things start falling into place. Okay. It's funny how things fall into
People
place.
talk about that a lot. A lot of spiritual leaders talk about that, and like, oh, things just cut and da 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 da. And it's like a lot of us here are just waiting and we're waiting, and we're like,
But you don't need to wait. That's the thing is, okay, so let's explain it to you this way. When you have a leap of faith, okay, so I'm going to even start from this. That's the smallest thing. And I'm going to put this on my TikTok. Here's a story. I was just in Minnesota, and I was at the gas station. I was going to get a Powerball, and I told my daughter, I said, we need to get a Powerball. Da, 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 da. So, and was it the reason that I was supposed to get the Powerball? Maybe not. Maybe it was because of this, what I'm going to tell you. So I'm in line. There's this cute little girl in front of me. And then there's this guy on the side, kind of kitty corner from the side from me. He's probably about 10 feet from me. The girl is, like right in front of me, waiting in line. And they were both getting hunting license. And I was going to go for the Powerball. And there was just one cashier. So, and he's all, where's the other cashier? Da, 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 da. And Spirit said to me, you need to tell her that her haircut looks great. And this girl had long hair. She didn't have short. You couldn't tell that if she had a haircut or not. Okay. So I'm looking at her and like, no. And Spirit's like, no, you need to tell her that her haircut looks good. Okay. Because she was having doubt. And I feel like it was probably a grandma or someone saying, no, you need to tell her that I love her haircut. Do you know what I mean? So I'm like, oh, because I usually don't do that. I won't sit there and go up to somebody and, hey, hello. They're going to be like, yeah, whatever. Ooh. I hid before. So I look at her and I said, did you just get your haircut? It looks really great. And she turns around, she looks at me, and she goes, I did. I got 9 inches cut off. Her hair was long. So it must have been like down to her butt. Do you know what I mean? And he said, well, it looks great. And it was the right choice. And she goes, oh, thank you. Cause I was debating, da, 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 da. And this guy comes up and he goes to the girl, he goes, did you just get your haircut? And she goes, yeah, today. And he's like, how the hell did you know that? And I go, cause I'm psychic. And he goes, oh, okay. Yeah, whatever, lady. He goes, oh my God, I can't believe he's just walking away going, how did she know that she got her haircut? Do you know what I'm saying? So sometimes Spirit downloads information, and it's not because of me. It was because of her, and she was debating.
Yes.
I cut off my hair where people would probably say, oh, you shouldn't have cut it. Da, 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 da. And I was like, no, it looks great.
I have a story. Hopefully I can find the card. If not, then that's fine. But it just reminded me of, because this happens to me sometimes and sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm wrong. And that's kind of the part where I'm at. I'm like, am I, like, how much of this is my own perception and how much of this is like, I don't know, my intuitiveness, being connected, whatever. But this one time I was on the bus and I heard this woman behind me, and she was on the phone, and there was a sticky note on the back of my chair. And it said something like, I hope you have a great day, or whatever. And so she was on the phone, and it sounded like she was on the phone with her partner, and was like, the sticky note says this, isn't that beautiful? That's just great. I really needed that right now. I really needed something like that. Like, that's really, it seemed like she was that day. What I needed to hear. And it seemed like she was in a low space, and I had my tarot cards on me. And I was like, you have to pull a card for her. I was like, Madison, no, you're not going to pull a tarot card for a freaking stranger on the bus. I'm like, no, you have to pull a card. So I'm shuffling, whatever, and I pull a card, and it's the first card in the deck. It's the Magician.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm like, I can't believe I'm doing this right now. I'm shaking with fear. I feel sick. And I Google it, and I'm like, what does this even really mean? Like, what's the meaning of this one? And I forget now actually what the meaning of this is, but I turned around and I was like, hi, I pulled this card for you. And it means this, and this. And she was like, oh my God. She was really religious, actually. I think she was Christian. And she said, this to me is like Jesus, and this is a message from Jesus. And I was like, great. If that's how you want it.
No judgment, just take the perception.
Absolutely. Because my perception is like, I don't know.
New beginning.
New beginning, something like that.
Magic, yeah.
Yeah. And she was like, this is Jesus giving me a message. And I'm like, she was so, yeah,
Right.
excited and,
And that's what I'm talking about is when I had the near death, I'm having a lot of this trust the leap of faith.
mm,
People do not trust the leap of faith. Where
no.
you're like people are going, well, I don't know which way to go. Are you listening to those signs? Are you really listening to those symbols? And it's kind of like, oh, say you see 11111 or it's 1111 or 2022 or whatever, and you get the information. So like 2 for me is going on the right path. You're going in the right direction, right?
Yep.
But are you going further on that? Are you just like, oh, the angels are with me? No, what is it they're trying to tell you? Do you know what I mean? Just like they were trying to get me to do my spiritual truth. So I feel that I went through all this stuff. Do you know what I mean? The deaths of people, the movement, the let go of the job. You need to go here. You need to do, blah, blah, blah. I mean, literally, they had to clear away. If you think about it,
Mm,
look at all the stuff they had to do. It's like, oh, I can't move because of my job. Well, we'll take your job away. Well, I don't have a place to live. Well, your stepdad's going to pass away. Do you know what I mean? You're going to you're going to be able to
mm.
buy the home. Well, you know what I mean? It's like they're literally laying the path in front of you, and you're like, oh, you're in sorrow when really
And resisting
we're
and resisting.
resisting.
Yeah,
Most people resist what the universal
absolutely.
source, God, Buddha, whatever you believe in, is trying to
Absolutely.
give to you. And
Yeah.
that's your purpose. That's your direction. That's the way you're supposed to go.
Yeah. I have one more question.
Okay.
How quickly after this near death were you like, okay, I've got to start on this? Like how soon was it after that you began on your spiritual journey and path?
Well, it was funny because before I had, did I was already starting to, Spirit was already starting to kind of get me out of it because I started that woman's group every Tuesday. They would come to my house. We had this little, we called it the cottage room. It's kind of like a mother-in-law suite. You know what I mean? It's like a one studio apartment. It was a building behind our cabin. And we, all the girls would meet there on Tuesday night and we would read some books or we'd do some cards. So we're already kind of I already had the urge of wanting to help.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think but then with me not doing readings and not doing the it took a while. Do you know what I mean? It took a couple of years, and I would work during the day and do readings at night and doing readings on the weekend. And I would travel hours and hours away, 3 hours that way, 3 hours that way, because when I was trying to do it just in the town, it didn't work. And that's why I was like, nobody wants me to do readings for them. But Spirit said after I had the near death, you need to get a website and you need to get a computer and. So I sold some jewelry and bought a laptop. I didn't even know how to turn the freaking thing on.
That's
Okay.
amazing. That's
And
amazing.
told me, I've said this story quite a few times, but if people haven't heard it, then Spirit said, you need to get a website up. I'm like, I don't even know how to turn on the freaking computer, let alone make it. So I went to someone up in Thompson Falls, and it was not the best website. I mean, it was bad, but they were saying, do readings on that, make it go. And they said they will bring the people to me. Spirit showed me here's another thing. See, it's funny how you forget things, and now they're reminding me. They're like, no, 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 Debbie, remember this. Spirit said to me, I did that. At the same time, Spirit said, because I used to go always to these events, where people would be speaking and in front of, hundreds of people or thousands of people. And I remember before I had my near death, Spirit would say, you're going to be doing that someday. And I'd be like, I want to do that, but I didn't think I'd ever do that. So after I had my near death, Spirit said, you need to go to Oregon. I was in Montana. You need to go. It was the Body, Mind, and Spirit show. You need to do a lecture and put up a booth and start doing readings. And I'm like, mm-mm. And they're like, yes, you do. And there was that nudge again. There was that nudge and the fear. So that's what I'm saying. A lot of times you have to take a leap of faith. If you
And
really
do it
believe in it,
scared.
you need to take that leap of faith. And so they were like, no, you need to, And I'm like, no, no. And they're like, no, yeah. And I said, nobody knows me. Who in the heck is going to go and say Psychic Debbie Griggs? And at the time I said powerful photo psychic Debbie. It was a 3 P's. And I even literally had someone say, you can't call yourself powerful. And Spirit said, yes, you are supposed to call yourself powerful photo psychic Debbie. because I can take a photo and look at it and I can read it like that. Okay.
Yeah.
I do the old, if someone gives me a photo from the past or the present or the future, and I can read it. I can say, okay, this and this happened here, blah, 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 people's personality. And it was funny because when I was fighting this, I was working at the archery place. I mean, we could talk about these stories, but again, this is downloading, right? So after I had my near death, that downloaded, and some of the girls, and it's funny because I just got a beautiful information of Alexis and Nicole's watching this. Love ya. They used to come in with they came in one time with their yearbook, and I pointed to a picture and I go, oh, that person did it, and they're like, how do you know that? And I said, just by looking at the photo. So then they started pointing out the picture. Oh, what's their personality? What's their personality? What's their personality? You know, and they used to come after school and I'd be doing cards for them in the back. And, you know, and if that boyfriend likes you or doesn't like you and blah, 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 blah. And their dad passed away and I helped them through that process of, you know, their death of their dad. And I still talk to them. And, but see, Spirit put that in there. So it gave me some confidence, right? While they're saying you need to go to this show, they brought people in. It was like, how am I going to do readings for people? I can't do readings for people. Okay, we'll make it that you do readings. Have these high school girls come in with their yearbook thing and go, look at this yearbook. And all of a sudden you just start reading and it's like bringing the confidence. See, it works in mysterious ways, right? If you don't fight it and try to control it. Does it make sense? Yeah. So then they said, okay, you need to go to Oregon. And Oregon or Oregon, I don't know how you say it, but you need to go to Oregon and do this show. So I go there, I find out they gave me the biggest room. And I'm like, nobody knows me. And they're like, you need to go. So my husband and me go. I think my mom even came with me at the time. We drive all those 8 hours or whatever it is to get to Portland, Montana, go through the gorge. Beautiful, beautiful area.
Were you getting paid for this, like to go to the event or no?
No, I had to pay to go to it. I had to pay for the booth.
Wow.
And so, and I said, I don't know what to do. And they said, well, like we described to you, tell people that you're going to explain your near-death experience and that you're going to give everybody a 1-question reading. And I'm the kind of person, that's why I'm like, come on, universe, bring it to me, because my events is, I don't do, oh, I feel that I go right up to the person and go, what's your question? And most people are like, what? No, I literally go up to the person and go, okay, so what's your question? And then I'll say, show me a picture, and boom, 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 boom. Right. So I did it that way. I got a standing ovation. The room filled up. I was like, where did all these people come from? And all of a sudden, I mean, it was like a huge room of, you know, that it filled like 100 people or whatever. And it was filled. And I got done and I did my 1-question reading. I got a standing ovation. I walked to my booth and there was a line of people looking for a reading, and Spirit's going, you know, told you so. I'm like, oh shit, you know, now I had to do you know what I mean? I had to start doing the readings. So it's that kind of thing with my near death. That's why they download and say, you need to do this, or you need to do that. You need to do this. It's kind of like with me doing YouTube. First I did Facebook. And then I did little videos on Facebook, and then I did videos with Cash Peters, and we did those kind of things. Remember that? I've
seen those. Yeah.
And then
love them.
And then Spirit said, you need to do YouTube. And I'm like, I don't speak that well. I don't present myself. I'm not, you know, no, you need to do YouTube. Nope, you need to do YouTube. Nope, you need to do. Fine, I'll show you. Well, look what happened. See what I mean? Yeah. I got all these people that are following me and da. So it's that kind of thing.
Yeah. Did you ever have, prior to this near-death experience, what was like your dream job? What did you think about?
My dream job was to be intuitive and helping people, because it was in my contract.
That's so funny because, and I'm like, I just learned this quote the other day and it brought tears to my eyes. I was listening to Oprah's Soul Sunday podcast, and someone said, I don't know the name of the guy, but someone said, we aren't given a dream unless we have the capacity to fulfill it.
That dream.
That, like, and I was at work. I'm like, you got to pull together. crying right now.
And that's the truth. And that has been said years ago, but when you're ready to hear it, you'll hear it. So a prayer that you could do, or a mantra that you could do, or an affirmation you could do is, I'm ready to hear what I need to hear.
I'm writing this down.
Like, I, Debbie, is safe and worthy to hear what I need to hear. But then if you hear what you need to hear, you can't poo-poo it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's kind of like, it would be like spirit would go, well, I've been talking to you for years, but you just ignore me. And spirit is non-judgmental. I mean, they'll keep on doing it. But if you put up the guard, they stand back and go, she ready yet? No. And I bet you this is what's happened. And I have said this in readings before, and I've seen it where the angels are like, oh, coming down, or spiritual, whatever you want to call them, are coming down to ready to help you. And then you're like, no. And then they go back, and then they go back in, and then they go back out, and they go back in, and they go back out. Then finally they just kind of stand and they go, is she ready? No. So, and they'll wait thousands of years for you until you get to the space of, yep, I'm worthy of this. I'm being in the is, I, Debbie, is worthy of this. I, Debbie, is safe to do this. Show me the way. Show me the way. I mean, I did this with my daughter because she was dental hygienist, working for a dentist, and it was through COVID and all the masks and her back is sore, and she's been doing it for like 12 years and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, I don't want to do this anymore, Mom. I can't. I mean, it's physically, mentally, and spiritually just killing me. And I said, well, you need to ask the universe at night, show me the way. What is it I need to do? Right. So she woke up and Sophia could say, oh, it wasn't exactly, but it's kind of like this. So, she loves to clean. She loves to organize, and she loves to clean. Okay. So something told her, she goes, I think I'm going to start cleaning houses. And I said, great. She goes, and spirit said, I need to call my friend's mom. And I said, then you need to call your friend's mom. Here we go again with leap of faith. Well, isn't she going to call your friend's mom? There's a reason why. So she calls up her friend's mom and goes, I want to start cleaning. Could you help me? Da, 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 da. She goes, oh, that's great. Funny. I just quit my job. I let go of some of my clients, but I have 3 clients left. Would you like them?
Wow. There you go. It really does seem almost that easy when you're in alignment.
When you're in that is.
Yeah.
When you're not in the space of judgment, when you're not in the space of control, you're not in the space of it has to have a time. You're not in the space of not being patient enough. That's my virtue. Not the greatest virtue. My patience is like, oh, no. Do you know what I mean?
I feel like that control and lack of patience, that has to be everybody though. Right. I think we need to do a whole other video on why we are so controlling and why we just feel like,
well, we can do that.
Yeah. It's like, because I think that's my biggest vice as well, is like the need for control and feeling like it's like a trauma response almost.
Right.
Because we just need everything to be the way that we can see it or perceive it or whatever, because then we're safe, or so we think.
So, I mean, I don't know what time we started. So we probably went not talk too much
time ago. Yeah.
So what is there another question? I mean, like I said, we could talk further and further and further and further in this, but this is kind of like the foreground of my experience, and that where I'm getting the download. And if anything that people get out of this, and I'm not going to tell you what to do or but I would take that leap of faith, know that you're worthy, know that you're safe. Like you said, if you can dream it, you can create it. Do you know what I mean? If you're dreaming it, you're supposed to be creating it.
Yeah.
Not
and you
trying
have the
to control
capacity
how it gets created, right?
There's a reason why you have your dreams and I have my dreams. They're different, and they're not different just because. They're different because that's who you're meant to be, and this is who I'm meant to be.
But a lot of times it's not about us, as rude as that sounds. Sometimes, like when I talked to spirit, they said, sometimes yours, like they told me this, is you're the teacher, you're the mentor, and people have been praying for you. And if you didn't take that leap of faith, then you're not only not answering your prayer, but all the thousands or hundreds or millions of people that you were supposed to heal their prayer. And so when they showed me that, I was like, that's what they showed me before I was going to Oregon. I was like, no, I can't do it. I can't do it. And they're like, this isn't about you, my dear. You're supposed to help other people find their spiritual truth. When I was like, what the frick does that mean? Right now I know. At that time, I had no earthly idea. And they're saying this isn't about you. Because your process, your service is supposed to be service of a million people.
It's for the world.
It's for the world.
Yeah.
And that's what makes that clock going. I feel I show it as that we're all the gentle bend clock. And every little screw and every little hook and every little movement and even the building is part of the purpose.
Right.
Right?
Right.
We're part of the building. We're not part of the clock, Debbie. We're just covering the clock. We need you because up through the storms or the snow or the rain, you're protecting the magnet, the clock.
Yeah. I had a similar realization the other day of like, because I think it's a lot easier for us to ignore, I don't know, our spiritual truth if it just has to do with us. But when we realize that we're supposed to be of service for others, it kind of changes it a little bit of like, oh, it isn't just about me. And that makes it more challenging to ignore because this is for everybody else. This is for something greater than me.
Right.
So
and people could be like, well, I'm doing hamburgers. I'm working at McDonald's. I want to be a manager at McDonald's. What does that mean? Well, we're thankful to you when I had a really busy day and I need to feed myself and I don't want to go home and cook a meal. You're available. Or, like my daughter cleaning. It's like it helps that person do something for themselves. Maybe they need you clean or organizing that business because then it made it get even a bigger business. Do you know what I'm saying? Or you know what I mean? It helped that person because they weren't healthy if they kept on cleaning their own building. Does it make sense?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Everything is connected. There's a reason for
it. There are a lot of micro reasons, like very small reasons. If you're a manager at McDonald's, but you meet someone who ends up being your best friend, and then you two are best friends together, and like there's so many little reasons. Or you meet people, or you're a manager of a restaurant because you uplift people. It's a good place that people want to go and work, and there's so many little micro connections and reasons why. It doesn't have to be this big global thing. We don't all need to be famous and rock stars and this or that. Like that's not
because
everyone's...
people like we know, like I know John Holland or John Edward or James Van Prague or Sylvia Brown, but someone that's not into any spirituality or Louise Hay, they'd be like, that has nothing to do with me. And you're right. It has nothing to do with you because you're not in that vibration. You're not in that frequency. You're not in that sound. You're not in that water. And that's what spirit showed me is everything is a frequency, sound, water, you know what I mean? Sound.
Yeah.
So it's all connected. So it's like we're attuning ourselves. So our frequency, sound and water and vibration must be somewhat the same because we're tuned into each other. And so that's why, like, if you're letting go of a friendship or you're letting go of a partner or you're letting go of a business or you're letting go of whatever, or even furniture or even a shirt, it's because you're not vibrating with that anymore. It has nothing to do with it. And a lot of times, if you didn't have security in your life, you hold on to that because you're like, oh, I might go back to that vibration. It's kind of like, I was a size 6 and then I gained weight and I'm a size 9. I'm going to keep those 6 pants because, I might, but damn well that if you get back to that size 6, you're not going to wear those pants. You're going to go out and buy a whole new pair of pants. You know what I mean? Letting go, let it go, let it go. It's kind of part of the surrender is part of, and leap of faith is part of your purpose.
Yeah. Awesome.
Right? So
awesome. Yeah.
I think that's kind of good.
Yep.
I think, and here's a proposal for you. I think that we should do something like once a week and put it on podcasts or put it on YouTube and have all discussions of all kinds of things. UFOs, aliens, angels, spirits, all kinds of topics. I think that would be fantastic.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm scared. I'm so scared, but I want it anyways.
Because people would be resonant to you. And see, this is a leap of faith. I'm hearing this.
Yeah.
Because I've asked other friends and they're like, nope. And then I'm like, okay, can't fight it. Do you want to do it? Nope. Do you want to do it? Nope. Do you want to do it? And Spirit is like, I'm an older lady. You're a younger woman. And so you get your age group. I get my age group.
It's
can
a
have
nice,
two
I think it's a
different-
nice compliment.
Yeah.
Very nice compliment. Yeah, I was thinking about that. I had like I'm like, you know, what if we did this regularly?
Yes. I
Yeah,
feel
right
like we
before
need
we
to do it
started.
regularly. If it's not every week,
Okay.
it like every other week or something.
Yeah, I think every other week is good.
And then
I feel
people,
good with every other week.
well, I mean,
Um,
you'll be, once we get going, you'll be like, oh, this is fun.
that's what I think. I think because I'm like, I think once every other week is good for right now.
Are you on TikTok?
I am, but I
And
don't
then
like,
here we
I
could be on
have it.
TikTok talking, have little snippets of this on our TikTok, and then say if you want to
Mhm.
hear the whole thing, you just go to YouTube. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna book a reading with you as well because
Well, I'm booked until
oh shoot.
the end of January, but
That's
you'll have to
okay.
call me and we'll figure something out.
Okay, that's no worries.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. You're so magical.
Oh,
You're just
thank
so
you. Well, so are
cool.
you. It's
Thank
just
you.
I mean,
Thanks.
this information, because how old are you now?
25.
25, young 25. God, what was I doing at 25? I was just married, had a baby. Yeah, a lot of things. And I was no way. I mean, I love the spiritual realm, but there was no way I was in the space that you are now. You got to give yourself
Oh,
credit, Madison, that how far you have come and what you have learned. You are way further than a lot other people. And I'm not saying that there's a competition or anything like that, but you're in a magical space and it's just allowing it, and that your service is going to come through. Do you know what I mean? This could be the service. It's just kind of like those murder podcasts or the,
yeah.
mystery
Yeah.
podcasts. People could be coming to us and going, oh, what are they talking about this time? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. I
what's
would
their
love
topic
that.
this week?
Oh,
And
that would just be the coolest thing ever.
that's what would happen. That's what would happen. If you're watching this under the YouTube, please comment what you would like us to talk about, or if you would like us to do this on a regular basis. She
Mhm.
needs the affirmation. She needs that. I don't need it. I know it's going to happen, but
I
she
do.
she does.
I do. Yeah. Yeah, I do. Yeah. That gnawing feeling that you talked about, I every day I feel it and it makes me sick. So it's like, oh, that's why I'm like, I need to book a reading because I need to like, I'm done with fear. I've wrote a contract, I've ripped it up. Fear and I
Good.
are no longer,
Yeah.
I'm
Nope.
over it.
And when a fear comes in, just go, don't accept you. I do not accept
Mhm.
you. I do not accept that vibration in my energetic space. I only allow the highest vibration. I only allow the highest vibration.
Mhm.
I'm doing a retreat in Palm Springs, and I'm going to be doing a retreat in Brazil. So
Ooh.
maybe one of those you could come with or
Yeah.
something.
Palm Springs or Brazil. Is that what is the information on your website or
No,
where do
I
I get
haven't put
that?
it all up yet. I'm
Okay.
talking because the one in Brazil I'm doing with Hannah Barana,
Nice.
because she lived in
Nice.
Brazil for 2 years, so she knows all the
Yeah.
spiritual places. And the one in Palm Springs is a client that I did retreat work with her in Sedona, and she knows how powerful it was. So she's giving up her condo so that I can do
Oh,
retreat work there
wow.
in Palm
Nice.
Springs. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's really
So,
cool.
and I mean, if that's how my life was not just doing individual readings, but doing retreats or doing this and
Mhm.
traveling around the world and doing speeches or talking about this. See, we could create that. We could
Yeah.
create that.
Yeah. Yeah. I have definite dreams of that. I've definitely,
Well,
yeah.
this is where it begins, honey. You asked, you asked, you
Yeah.
ripped up your contract. You said
Yeah.
no fear. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
see, people are kind of getting a reading right now, watching me giving you a reading.
Yeah.
Be of service. This is a way to be of
Yes. Yeah.
service.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you what to
Absolutely.
do, but I mean, think about it.
I wish someone would.
Okay, well, just put your eyes up towards your third eye.
Okay.
Take a deep breath and then slowly close your eyes. And then slowly close your eyes. Okay, now sense what is it I, Madison's service? And what comes up to your mind? What Madison, brings me joy? If I had no control over it and I desire, right away, stop thinking about it. What was the first thing that came in your brain?
It's some kind of like, I don't know how to explain it. That's the thing, is
Some
that
kind
like
of
this,
healing.
yes, it's some kind of healing, but there's so much. It's like, I feel like if I were to explain it, I'm putting it into a box. I just feel like what I meant to do, honestly, is so like there's so many different modalities of like writing a
Yep.
book, speaking on stage, coming up with retreats, podcast. Like I just feel like honestly, it's
It's all of it.
endless. I really
And
feel like
but
it's all of
you
it.
have to start in this 3D dimensional space. It's already created. It's already in that
Mm,
bandwidth in the fourth dimensional space. We just
mhm,
got to get you to hook into it.
mhm,
The fear
mhm.
is not letting you hook into it. And you're trying to control how it comes and you receive it. Do you know what I'm saying? You're
I
trying to
do.
control how it should begin and how it should end. Just kind of like me going to Oregon and I was fighting it, or me fighting doing YouTube. Thank God I would have never met you. I would have not met any of my beautiful peeps that connecting. I mean, we just get more and more on Tuesday evening, you know what I mean? And they're
Mhm.
friends. So, and I love them. I love them. Do you know what I mean? And I love doing the predictions. So when I first started out, when Spirit says you need to help people find their spiritual truth, I was doing past life readings.
Mhm.
Okay. And then I was doing future readings. And then I was doing pet readings. And then I was doing ghost. And there were so modalities that I could do. And they're like, no, make it more simple. The rest can come in, can blend in. Do you know what I mean? Make it
Yeah.
simple.
Yeah.
Just do the readings. And then all of a sudden, they reminded me, Spirit reminded me, here was a download again. When I was a young girl, I used to do world predictions all the time. You got to figure,
Mhm.
I'm that age where we just had 6 channels and you had to do it by hand. And we only had, 6 stations or whatever, and there would be the news. And I would have dreams of world predictions, like a plane's going to crash or a train's going to da 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 da, or there's a bombing or whatever. And then I'd get up in the morning, and because my dad always watched the news, and there it would be. Do you know what I'm saying? But I was in such a controversy of a household and fight and flight
Mhm.
space. I told it, here we go. I stopped the contract and I said, I can't do that right now. But then I got older. I said, oh, I'll open that contract back up again. I'm ready for world predictions. And look at how strong
Yeah.
they are. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I remember in the essence of who I am when I was a little girl going, oh, or saying things. I mean, I had nuns mad at me because I would tell on them like, oh, they're doing this, they're drinking, they're da 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 da. You know what I mean? And they did not like
That's
me.
so funny.
Got
That's
beaten
so
up
funny.
at home and at
Oh.
school because I was telling the truth all the time. And so I feel
Oh.
like that's why Spirit said, you need to tell the truth. Do you know what I mean? You need
Mm.
to, because I was telling the truth, but I got chastised for it in this
Yeah.
lifetime and in numerous of other lifetimes. So then I feel like that's why the universe was saying, no, you got to get back to that contract and help people find their spiritual truth. Am I 100%? No, but I will definitely say I'm at least 85 to 90% accurate on that.
Yeah.
And
Oh
there's times
yeah.
that, and
Oh
sometimes I'm
yeah.
100%. But
Sometimes
it's
they're
like
like,
ding. But
yep.
and I don't take all the credit for it. It's information, it's downloaded to me, and this is for the world. This is for the world. Do you know what I mean? And people are like, well, if you do world predictions, what good is that going to do? Well, like my prediction for December, I say December 23rd, the travel is going to be
Mhm.
really
Mhm. Be
bad.
careful with travel. Yeah.
It's going to make people, oh, that's right. Debbie was talking about it. I'm going to be extra careful. I'm going to bring those chains. I'm going to bring that extra blanket. I'm going to bring that extra can of gas, or I'm going to da 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 da. So it just helps the person be prepared. If it doesn't happen, great. But if it does happen, you're going to be like, I listened to
Mhm.
Debbie. I brought that blanket. I brought those chains. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
that's why it's not to be like, oh, look at me. I'm the one with all the answers, because
Right.
we all have the answers. See, we could just go on and on and on. But see,
Yes.
you have the answers. You're just fighting it.
I
So
know I
ask
am, and
tonight,
it's so annoying.
bring it to me. Bring
Yeah.
it to me. Bring it to me. Okay.
Okay.
Well, beautiful people, it's because we could be going talking and talking and talking, and we talked somewhat of the near death, not all of the near death, but but it brought us to this space. So
Mhm.
I want to
A
give
really
everybody
wonderful space. Yeah.
blessings and smiles, and we'll talk Madison into every other week or whatever.
Yeah, talk me into it.
Talk her into it.
I can be swayed.
Especially if it's a good looking guy and he's going, how you doing? You're like, fine.
As long as that good looking guy is my partner, I'm very
Yes.
Kyle.
Yeah. Yes. You have a great partner.
Yeah.
So
Yes, the best.
very, very best. Very best. You were blessed. See, you
really
surrendered and you let it happen. And
yeah, that's so funny.
And look what happened. So, okay, beautiful people. Until next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.